Hello, my name is Tom Rice, Product Manager for Fiori. In the third unit of Week 1, Architecture Overview of the OpenSAP course SAP Fiori Overview Design, Develop and Deploy, I would like to give you a high-level overview of the Fiori architecture and introduce the various technologies and tools available to you and how they fit together. To start with, I'll give you an overview of the runtime, i.e. how the Fiori UIs are connected to the back-end systems. Next, we'll look at which tools are available to help you adapt the standard SAP UIs, and finally we'll have a look at the development tools you can use to develop your own apps. I'm going to build this up step by step, so let's start with Fiori running in a web browser, on a desktop, a tablet or a smartphone. The blue boxes represent UI clients, in this case the web browser. The golden color boxes represent the technologies used. In this case we have the Fiori Launchpad as a single entry point for users, and our frameworks for efficiently building Fiori apps. SAP UI5 as the powerful HTML5 JavaScript framework providing maximum flexibility, and on top of that the SAP Fiori Elements for very efficient low-code development for typical business use cases, such as working on lists of objects or on individual business objects. These tools access application data from the backend system using the standard Internet protocols HTTP and OData for reading data as well as for making updates. We also offer Fiori for iOS and Fiori for Android, i.e. native versions of the Fiori design language. These apps get integrated to the backend system via the SAP Cloud Platform mobile services and also access the backend system via OData services. This is what it looks like for Fiori apps. Let's now extend this to look at how the classic UIs such as SAP GUI and WebDynPro fit into the picture. If you have an SAP S/4HANA or SAP Business Suite system as your backend, then we advise that you give your users access to the so-called classic UIs, i.e. SAP GUI for HTML or WebDynPro, via the Fiori Launchpad running in a web browser. For S/4HANA, the classic UIs will run in a browser on tablets as well as on the desktop, connected to the backend using HTTP. These classic UIs have the Fiori theme applied to them so that all the apps in the Launchpad have the same theme, providing a harmonized look across Fiori apps and classic UIs. Returning to the web-only view for Fiori apps, most of you will have heard that you need some kind of web server to provide web applications. So where is the web server in this picture? Let's zoom in and have a look. The SAP Fiori front-end server acts as the web server for SAP Business Suite or SAP S/4HANA backends, in fact for all ABAP-based on-premise systems. As you can see at the top, the Fiori Launchpad and Fiori apps are built with SAP UI5 and Fiori Elements, frameworks based on HTML5 and JavaScript. When a user starts the Fiori Launchpad, the browser loads the various UI components and libraries from the front-end server. These then read UI data from the front-end server to understand which roles the user has and how the user has personalized their user experience, i.e. Launchpad personalization, but also personalization of each of their apps. Finally, the Launchpad and the Fiori apps access the backend using OData services provided by SAP Gateway, a component included in the front-end server. The front-end server is depicted here as an add-on to the backend system, which is a recommended deployment option for S/4HANA. However, you can also run it as a standalone web server for Fiori. In both cases, the SAP backend system has a small enablement component for managing the communication with SAP Gateway. Finally, for security, we have the SAP Web Dispatcher in front of the front-end server as the entry point for access from the Internet. Extending this to include native mobile Fiori apps, you see that the Cloud Connector manages the secure connection to the SAP Cloud Platform mobile services. So far, we have looked at one Fiori Launchpad connected to one backend system. What are we planning in cases where you need to access more than one backend system? The vision we have is to enable customers to provide their users with one central entry point in the cloud so that users can access all their apps on all their systems from there. The goal is to provide this SAP Fiori Launchpad in the cloud with seamless integration to SAP products, be they in the cloud or on-premise, so that users can launch apps from any of these products from within the Launchpad and navigate between them as needed. Furthermore, this central Launchpad will provide central services such as SAP One Inbox, notifications, single sign-on, so that they have only one logon and only one place to look for tasks, work items and notifications, rather than having to log on to many different systems. We expect first versions to be available later this year. Let's now have a look at the tools available to you to adapt the standard UIs from SAP. First, let's return to the simplified overview for web and native mobile Fiori apps and see which adaptation tools are available for these. Two adaptation tools are available, the UI Theme Designer and UI5 Flexibility. With the UI Theme Designer, you can quickly and easily change the colors used by Fiori and replace the SAP logo with your own company logo. In other words, the UI Theme Designer allows you to apply your corporate branding to the Fiori theme. UI5 Flexibility allows you to adapt Fiori apps. Admins and key users can centrally change apps by e.g. hiding fields or rearranging them. End users can use UI5 Flexibility to personalize their apps, for example by storing selection variants or by defining which columns to show in tables. So what about adaptation of classic UIs? If we extend this to include the classic UIs, we see that the UI Theme Designer can also be used. In other words, the UI Theme Designer enables you to apply your corporate branding to the SAP Fiori experience for both Fiori apps and for the classic UIs. In addition, SAP Screen Personas is a powerful tool for simplifying classic UIs. If some of the classic UIs do not provide the level of usability demanded by your end users, you can go quite a long way to meeting their needs by using screen personas to improve their user experience. For example, you can provide one screen combining the typical SAP GUI selection screen and the resulting application screen. In the application itself, you can hide fields which you don't need, and even combine fields from multiple tabs into one single simple screen. If you want to go beyond the standard SAP applications, you'll need to develop your own Fiori apps. For this, we also provide a collection of powerful tools to make this easy for you. Let's start again with the web-only runtime architecture and look at the development tools for Fiori apps running in a web browser. Those of you already familiar with Fiori will know that we provide an integrated development environment, IDE, in the web, which we call the SAP Web IDE for building Fiori UIs. The SAP Business Application Studio is the next generation of web-based IDE for building Fiori UIs, supporting the whole lifecycle and making development easy, and also running on the SAP Cloud Platform. As a plug-in to that, we offer SAP Fiori Tools, which provide additional benefits for developers leveraging SAP Fiori elements. For developing native mobile Fiori apps, the SAP Cloud Platform Mobile Services provide a mobile development kit as a plugin for the SAP Business Application Studio, with which you can code once and create native apps for both iOS and Android. Alternatively, you can use our Fiori SDKs for Android and for iOS in Android Developer Studio and Xcode respectively. Anyone who's programmed apps will know that the UI is only half the story. You also need to be able to read and write data in the backend system. Here we also provide powerful tools to make your life as a developer easier. Wrap and Cap, and CDS views. In a nutshell, CDS views allow you to model your application data stored in HANA, and Wrap and Cap provide powerful programming models and generated code on top to create OData services for Fiori apps. The ABAP RESTful Programming Model, Wrap, for S/4HANA, and the Cloud Application Programming Model, CAP, for apps using the SAP Cloud Platform as a back-end system. The next big thing in user experience will be leveraging natural language interaction, i.e. chatbots, and integrating these into the overall user experience. SAP Conversational AI is our chatbot technology, which comes with a constantly evolving bot-building platform. So let me wrap up with a summary of the type of adaptation and development tools available to you. Starting from the top, the SAP Business Application Studio is our powerful and integrated development environment. For web apps, SAP UI5 is our development framework for enterprise-grade apps using HTML5 and JavaScript. For rapid UI development, we provide SAP Fiori Elements on top of SAP UI5 and the SAP Fiori Tools plugin to the Business Application Studio. For rapid OData service development, we provide the Wrap and Cap programming models on top of CDS views. For native mobile apps, we provide the SAP Cloud Platform mobile services along with the various development kits. SAP Conversational AI enables a conversational user experience using natural language interaction. For adapting or extending SAP apps, you can use UI5 flexibility for Fiori apps and SAP Screen Personas for classic UIs. The UI Theme Designer can be used for all of these UIs to apply a corporate branding to the Fiori user experience. We started the unit by looking at the runtime architecture and then looked at development and adaptation tools for these two scenarios, developing new Fiori apps and adapting or extending SAP UIs. That now concludes this unit. The next unit will give you high-level insights into each of these development and adaptation tools. Thank you and goodbye.